Well, I thought the last one was going to be shorter because I thought these were going to be short sections, and I still ended up going longer, and I apologize for that. So we will see how this one goes. Clearly, my head is still a little clouded, and my focus is not super great, but hopefully we can move this one along too. Beyond your reverse. I'm sorry. We're Matthew 10. I need a reboot already. Matthew 10, verse 17. We're in part 2 of Matthew, although we're technically in part 3 of this week. Be on your guard against men. They will hand you over to the local councils and flog you in their synagogues. On my account, you will be brought before governors and kings as witnesses to them and to the Gentiles. But when they arrest you, do not worry about what to say or how to say it. At that time, you will be given what to say. For it will not be you speaking, but the Spirit of your Father speaking through them. A slight little pause here. So the flogging at the time was considered inhumane to go over 39 stripes, which is why Jesus received 39. That was the full list that they could give. Of course, many people still died with the 39 stripes on their backs, but they would flog them, but also be reading this passage from Deuteronomy 28:58 through 59. And this is what was being read during the floggings. If you do not carefully follow all the words of this law, which are written in this book, and do not revere this glorious and awesome name, the Lord your God, the Lord will send fearful plagues on you and your descendants, harsh and prolonged disasters, and severe and lingering illnesses. So they would do this because they were saying you have gone against God's laws, and therefore you deserve punishment and God's wrath. And so that's what they were doing. Now, interesting with the context of Jesus, of course, is that in that flogging and with the scriptures being read, that Jesus was taking on the sins of the world. So that has a little bit more meaning behind it. So brother will betray brother to death, and a father his child. Children will rebel against their parents and have them put to death. All men will hate you because of me, but he who stands firm to the end will be saved. When you are persecuted in one place, flee to another. I tell you the truth, you will not finish going through the cities of Israel before the Son of Man comes. A student is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. It is enough for the student to be like his teacher, and the servant like his master. If the head of the house has been called Beelzebub, how much more the members of his household? So do not be afraid of them. There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. What I tell you in the dark, speak in the daylight. What is whispered in your ear, proclaim from the roofs. Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them will fall to the ground apart from the will of your Father. And even the very hairs of your head are all numbered. So don't be afraid. You are worth far more than any sparrows. Okay, so a little bit of a breakdown here. It's not a whole lot of notes that I made this time. Maybe because my brain's not working. I don't know. But there is, again, the repetition of what we had just said about that they shake off their sandals and leave if there is any persecution or they do not receive and they're undeserving. Well, the same thing happens here in verse 23. When you are persecuted in one place, flee to another. So keep moving. Don't stay to get killed. That kind of defeats the purpose. Now, there are times, like Stephen, we see that happens too. But basically, he's saying keep moving. As soon as you're rejected, keep moving. We've got to get the word spread. I've got to have my disciples alive to carry this torch and spread the word. So that is basically what he's saying here. Now, the brother will betray brother to death, and the father his child. Children will rebel against their parents and have them put to death. And we've seen this in another passage where the relationship between parents and children may change because of the gospel. And we see that even in normal families, that if you have, or today's family, modern families, but if you have somebody who becomes a Christian in a non-Christian home, there is a bit of a battle that goes there, and there's sometimes a lot of disownment, and especially in other cultures where certain religions are far more adamant against Jesus. So you do see that. You will have situations where a brother will betray a brother for the sake of Christ, and fathers and children rebelling against their parents. There's so much of that happens if somebody becomes a Christian and follows Jesus. And that's the counting of the cost, like we talked about a couple chapters ago or so, that it's not about comfort. It's not about what we can get out of Christianity or about what we get out of from Jesus. It's our relationship with him that is beautiful, and there's so many wonderful things that being a follower of Jesus, we receive peace, we receive his goodness, we receive so much from him. But if it is about the comfort and about being accepted by everybody, you're not going to receive that. There will be some persecution, and that is what he's talking about here. A student is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. It is enough for the student to be like his teacher and the servant like his master. Now, it keeps going into this next part, and this is where you have to understand what the context is. What is being said is that Jesus was, people were attributing to him that he was Beelzebub, or that at least he was being given the authority and power to cast out demons by Beelzebub. But that was what he was going against and saying, I think we talked about this, a house divided itself cannot stand, and this time I'm going to say it right. But the Beelzebub was also known as the master of the house, lord of flies, prince of demons. And so Isaiah says, woe to those who call evil good and good evil. And that's Isaiah 5:20. And this is what these Pharisees were doing. They were calling what was good evil. They were saying that Jesus was evil, and the things that they were doing was good. And so with their accusations, of course, Jesus is saying that they were calling him that he's from the house of Beelzebub. Well, then that means his whole household would also be, all the disciples that are following him would also be from Beelzebub. He said, don't be afraid of them. Don't even give in to what they're saying. Everything that's been concealed, that they are hiding, all the junk and the deceiving, all of the things that they have done is going to be exposed. And has it been exposed? Yeah, 100%. We know what the Pharisees and the Sadducees and how everything thought, how everyone thought at that time. And we see it still today. So it is exposed. And that's what he's saying. It's going to be exposed. What is hidden, it will be made known. So when I'm telling you in the dark, speak it out in the daylight. I'm telling you now, but I want you to spread it far and wide as you're going about from city to city and from these different places. So what I'm whispering to you now in these intimate times, because right now is not his time to be taken. Right now is still Jesus' time to teach them, to instill them. But the day was going to come that they were to spread it and tell it to everybody. So don't be afraid of the enemy. Instead, have a holy fear, a holy awe of the Holy One. He's the one who can destroy soul and body. Don't be afraid of Satan. Satan's powers are nothing compared to the authority of Christ. And then he says, are not two sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them will fall to the ground apart from the will of your Father. And even the very hairs of your head are all numbered. So don't be afraid. You are worth far more than sparrows. You are so valued and treasured by God that he knows every hair on your head. He knows the direction you're going to take. He knows everything in your life. And he will pursue you and he will love you. It's always our choice, of course, to receive him or not. But don't allow the things of the world with the persecutions and all this other stuff to think that God isn't noticing or being concerned about it. He does. And this is the whole premise of this particular part, is that I understand. In fact, I'm fixing to go through it, basically is what he's saying. I understand. I will walk through this, and I am concerned for you. I love you. I will be with you. But in the middle of all the persecution, don't cave in. Don't cave into the persecution and say, I won't follow God just because you are being persecuted. I am there. I'm with you. All of these things that they're doing against you, those will be exposed. So you would rather be on the side of truth, on my side when things are exposed, than on the darkness. And know that I see everything, and you are far more valuable than sparrows.